Welcome, everybody. Fred Gleek here in his standard reclined position in my perfect chair, along with Bill DeWeese, and we're here for the weekly podcast. Bill, so how was your week?
Hey, if I may, I just want to say, first of all, if you haven't taken time to review this podcast on iTunes, make sure you do that, right? Because that will help more people to learn about it, find out about it. And so we're really asking for your help on that.
Yeah, please review it, give it a five-star rating, and tell everybody, your friends and your relatives.
Perfect. Okay, thanks. I just want to make sure we got that shameless plug in there. It was a good week. 5640 was the final total for the
Okay.
week. So, and while it was nice, I had a couple of bigger projects. So it wasn't as busy as it might sound in terms of multiple projects. It was busy with long projects. So on Monday, I actually made over $1,600, and it was just a couple of clients. One was called Solar. It was a narration, and then I did a big long training thing for Hitachi.
And by big, long training thing, how long do you mean? How many pages?
I don't recall the page number, but I know it's a few hours of work.
Few hours of work. How much?
I mean,
How
a
much?
few hours of finished work.
Oh, finished work. A few
Yeah.
hours. Wow.
Yeah. And so to manage a project of that size really requires, at least for me, you have to know yourself and how you do with that. I take a lot of breaks. So I'll go for 10 or 15 minutes at a time, and then I'll stretch my legs, refill my coffee, go to the bathroom, come, whatever, just go out and talk to Mallory. And so it ends up taking me quite a bit of time, but just because I take a lot of breaks.
Now, okay, so just to give people an idea of what a true professional's rate of exchange is, the finished product, let's just assume it was 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
How many total hours went into producing a 2 hour and 30-minute finished product?
Total, when your editor's time as well. I will tell you the rule of thumb. The rule of thumb is 3 to 4 hours of work for every one finished hour of audio. I
Okay,
can tell you this, it doesn't take us that much time
got
because
it.
we're just so good. No, I mean, but we do it so much. I would say for every hour, we're putting in 2 hours maybe. So for two and a half, that's a good 5 hours of work.
Got it. So in other words, you've gotten your ratio down to where you do a 2 to 1.
Yeah, that would be pretty close.
Got it. Well, that's impressive because, and that means, and so is out of that, so the doubling of the time, tell me why it takes double the time. Obviously, there's some editing work on the back end. There's
Right,
some breaks that you have to take.
right.
There are also some mistakes that you make that you have to go back and redo, correct?
Yes. And that is actually, those are the three things you mentioned. That's it. Those are what take the extra time.
So the
Um,
editing, taking the breaks, and correcting errors.
yes, those are them.
Now, when you submitted that project to Hitachi, did they come back and say, "This is great, Bill. Well done. Goodbye. No changes"?
I'm trying to remember if I work for them on an ongoing basis. I get stuff from them almost weekly, so it wasn't a new thing. I got, I think one or two little mistakes were sent back that had to be changed. So
Got it.
for something that long, I'm much better at it than I used to be. And I'll tell you what, the key, Fred, here's what I learned, is that the slower I go, the better I do. It's almost counterintuitive because when you've got a script that big, all you can think about is getting done. And so I've really disciplined myself to just take my time. And
By,
clients
take,
like it.
by taking your time, you're talking about in terms of speed of the delivery
Yes.
of the copy, correct?
Yes. I'm by nature a faster talker. And
Yeah.
when I'm performing, in other words, the mic's in front of me, I tend to talk faster than I realize. And so now, over time and hearing myself more and feedback, clients tend to like scripts slower rather than faster when it comes to narration.
Now, you might be naturally a fast talker, but really, based on Saturday Night Live, are you a close talker?
No, I'm not a close talker.
It doesn't know
Nope.
what that is.
But I
Just
know a few.
go to YouTube and put in "close talker Saturday Night Live."
I do know a few.
Okay, so
Um,
now that was Monday.
that
Good
was
job.
Monday.
Over 1,600. What about Tuesday?
Tuesday, I did a financial report narration. I did a commercial for McBride and Sons Homes in St. Louis. I do all of their commercial work. And then I did another big chunk for Hitachi. And I don't have the complete numbers for that day, but it was close. I think it was just under 1,000.
Got it. Okay. So in 2 days, you're at half your quota.
Yeah, yeah. By the time we got to Wednesday, I was feeling really good. I knew we were on a roll.
Good.
Wednesday, I did a project for a European client called LearnyBox, which sounds to be like an LMS, a learning management system for information marketers, a platform for creating content and tracking students and that kind of thing. So that was interesting. I did some training for GMC. It was internal training. I did some. I had a few pickups for. I don't know if you recall. Last week I did a recording for Mohawk Carpet. They're sponsoring a film festival,
Yep.
and they had
That's
a
where I
few.
asked you if you had changed your hairstyle.
Oh,
Right?
that's right. That's right. Which I have since then. Not quite a Mohawk, but anyhow, I did a few pickups, a few modifications for them on that, and then some CAD software training on Wednesday.
Got it. And anything. So we haven't gotten to it yet, but you may be mentioning we're now completing Wednesday, right?
Right. That was the end of Wednesday. Yeah.
So this week, were there any new clients?
Yes, I had one new client that I picked up on Thursday, yesterday.
Okay.
It was for an explainer video, and I picked them up through voices.com.
Okay.
And
what kind of thing? What was the product or service?
it's a good
I'm sorry.
question. I'm trying to remember. I can't even remember. It was a
Or artist, what he did. 20
it
minutes.
was such a short. It was a little explainer. That's all I remember. It was very short.
How much
I'm
was?
sorry.
How much?
Oh, that was a low paid job, like $140.
Okay.
But the reason I did it, and I don't audition for jobs that pay that low. And by the way, I have no problem with people who do. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing $100 jobs, $200 jobs.
Yep.
I tend to audition for $300 to $400 jobs. That's what I try to make the lower end. But when I get a private audition, which this was, that means somebody has already said, "Hey, I like you," and I knew my chances of getting it were much higher. So I don't mind spending the time because, it took me maybe 10 minutes, if that much, to actually record the project.
In poker, as well as in other areas of life, we call that EV, expected value. So you were actually doing a complex multiplication table in your head, which said probability of success multiplied by amount of dollars earned.
My wife would be very impressed if she knew I was doing such complicated mathematical equations.
But you can actually, I'll give you the script, and you can say that to her, and she will then be impressed.
She knows I'm not as much a numbers guy as she is. She works in finance, so.
Got it. And so, so I think that expected value, but really what you're doing is you're saying to yourself, okay, number one, it's a new client.
Right.
Number two, they came to you and asked you specifically, so they already liked you. So you knew your probability of getting the job was higher. So all of those factors contributed to making that decision. And you would coach, if you were coaching someone on how to market or sell themselves as a voiceover artist, you would encourage them to do the same.
I would, and especially the other variable was that it was an easy job. I mean, it was, I forget how many seconds long, but I mean, it was very brief.
Got it. Okay.
So it was fast money. But yeah, that's exactly how I would coach somebody to do that.
What else on Thursday? Anything else?
Oh, I did some ag products sales training for DeKalb Pfizer Genetics.
Okay.
I did some HR self-appraisal training.
Wow, that's exciting.
Oh, terribly. Some SAP training for a European client.
Yeah.
So that was Thursday. Quite a bit going on.
Okay. And one of the things that we should mention is that if you're listening or watching this particular broadcast, podcast, whatever form you're watching or listening to it in, make sure and understand that you can go back and listen to previous podcasts or recordings and get a lot out of them as well, because they're little nuggets that are thrown in throughout the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. It's been a relatively busy day, but it's really only been a couple of jobs, and it's because one of them was a rather large job for an insurance and benefits training course. So actually, I made, I think, over $1,000 today, or right around $1,000 for just two projects. And I did a little, I say little, it was not little, but a presentation for a live event that a European IT company was taking part in. And it was interesting because I got it through an agency in Europe that I do work for. And so I did the work, and all of a sudden, I'm in my studio, and I should not have my phone in here, but I did. And the phone starts ringing, and I see it's a call from Denmark. And so I ignore it because I'm in the middle of another project, right? So, and then it rings again, and nobody leaves a message. So I think, I better call this number back. Well, there's a gentleman in Denmark who I had just done the project for through my agent in Europe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
saying he was a bit frantic, saying they were in desperate need of. They forgot to send me like 5 sentences that they need
Right.
for this event, and the agency was closed down for the weekend. So they'd somehow figured out who I was because my full name's not even on their roster. So they tracked it down through websites and listened until they found somebody that sounded like me. They weren't even sure it was me. And I said, yeah, it's me. So just email me the lines and I'll get them out to you. So I did. So it was just kind of fun little drama today.
Yeah. That's nice. I think that what should have been included because of your being so magnanimous in getting that done for them. I think a free trip to Copenhagen round trip from Chicago would have been in order.
I think so too. You're always working the angle.
I'm trying.
That would have been nice.
So yeah, sounds good. So now, what other great what the one thing we haven't talked about is because we did this last week before you were doing the narration seminar. So you may want to tell people a little bit about what happened there and how they might be able to benefit from that.
Yeah, we had a great 2-day workshop. It was a sold out event, and we had great feedback from the folks there, and had a great time. And I'll tell you, Fred, the thing that I loved. I mean, it's always those things are all when you get there and you're doing it, and you meet it. Everybody's so great. I mean, the attendees were just wonderful people, and we had a great time together. But what was so cool is that throughout the weekend, what we did is went through a series of scripts, and to see the evolution of these people, many of who are already doing successful. Some are brand new,
Yep.
but to hear them and for the group to hear and recognize the evolution, even within one script where we do the first read and I would direct, and then by the third read, it was completely different. And to hear them go from okay to competitive within a matter of 5 minutes on a script, just through coaching, was exciting, and they were excited by it, and so they all walked away with some really cool, some great recordings.
Now, you also, speaking of recordings, you recorded the entire thing, and that is now available for sale at.
It's the videos will be up as of Monday, October 5th, which will be a week from this Monday. They'll be fully edited and up, and they are available at vonarrationsuccess.com. vonarrationsuccess.com.
Okay, good. And so why is it important for people who are listening to this, watching this, whatever, to pick these up? What is it about narration that makes it good or special?
Well, just from a simple marketing standpoint, you want to go where the biggest pool of prospects are. Where can I make the most money? Where's the most work available? Well, clearly in voiceover. By a landslide, that is narration. There's just a lot with the narration.
Yeah, I think it's 100% accurate. Obviously, you know it, and I hear it from you and everyone else. The other thing I wanted to ask you on sort of a larger level, we're getting not quite. We got 3 months left in the year, October, November, December, but November, December probably tend to slow down a little bit. When do you reevaluate your goals for your weekly goals? At the end of this year, will you be putting that up over 5,000 to say 5,500 or?
Yeah, I tend to every 6 months I look very carefully at those numbers just to see. I want to see where I'm trending. Obviously I'm very aware of where the numbers are every week, but at some point you have to step back to really get a sense of okay, where am I at in comparison to last year?
Got it.
And so I'm significantly up over last year. Last year,
you mean more than 10%?
Yeah. More than 10%. Last year was the only year in the history of my career that I actually went backwards a little bit. And it was just because I needed to spend more time auditioning and marketing. It was a simple fix. And so I did, and I've reaped the rewards. And so, yes, at the end of this year, I'll reevaluate because, I really believe that I'll be making $500,000 a year within the next few years. That's a pretty bold. I never say that out loud.
Right.
Except to maybe Mallory and my wife, but I guess I've said it publicly now, but that's where I'm pretty confident that I can generate $2,000 a day eventually as a voice talent.
Right. And you can see that coming more from larger, bigger jobs that agents might be able to bring in for you, correct?
Yeah, they're coming from larger jobs, larger clients. I can just tell you, and you've followed me close enough to know, you had a sense of what's been going on these past 5 years. And, 4 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was working myself ragged on voiceovers. I mean, physically it was because I was doing a lot of higher volume, low cost work. Well, which is where you got to start. I mean, that's how you start to build a career in a business. And I've evolved that, and I work a lot, obviously, but I'm not killing myself because I've been able to evolve the client base.
You know what would be interesting? It'd be interesting, and what would you guess this number is? If you had something in that booth that sort of recorded minutes every time you were in the booth working, as opposed to in a booth just
Napping.
whatever. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, so I mean, in the course of a week, then, how many hours do you think? Is it 30 hours that's actually done doing the work?
In the booth.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate.
got it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it'd be interesting to know what that number of hours was where you're truly working.
So it's, between 8 and 4:30 is what I'm working, but when I'm actually in the booth, I'm in and out of the booth all day.
Right.
Yeah, so that's probably pretty accurate.
Okay, sounds good. Well, then, hey, that's a good summary for the week. And folks, like we said earlier, make sure if you like the podcast to give it a thumbs up on iTunes and a five-star review if you would, if you feel it's worthy. And again, we will see you next time. And Bill, hey, thanks for your time, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Fred. We'll see you.